What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Master Crafted. We are finally diving in. We are gonna start doing some nitty-gritty videos on what you need to be doing in 11th edition. Phil, you excited, buddy? Dude, we've been talking for like months about what could be here, and we finally have enough information to start prepping the people, man.
Yeah, it's huge. I do finally feel like we're in a good place to translate information in terms of, hey, this is how we need to be prepared. And Lane and I both agree. This is where it starts, right here. Your forced dispositions. If you don't have a good idea for your forced dispositions, all the advice that we can give you on terrain, on lists, on armies, on secondaries, on gameplay, none of that matters if we are not squared away on our forced disposition. So it's the natural place to start. It is where we want to give you the most amount of information. And it is what Lane and I are most excited about. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to be kind of the first step, right, of the things you need to look at when you are going ahead and starting to build your 11th edition list. This is going to be kind of the info that you are going to take your first glance at before you go through and start doing revisions and everything else like that, right? You're going to start here, right? We're past core rules, right? I'm not gonna say you haven't done that already, right? But like when we're talking about actually getting to play the game after you have a reasonable understanding, right? You're starting to put together maybe your first competitive list of 11th edition. This is where you're going to start. And you're going to come back and you're going to revisit it, but this is where you're going to start. And it's looking at these mission cards, specifically, what are you trying to do? So today we're going to take a look at Take and Hold and the 5 variants of Take and Hold that you will be playing. And this is going to be a series. Obviously, we're going to talk about the others before we get into the full longer videos where we talk about each one of these specifically with their 3 layouts. We just want to get you at step 1. Here's kind of the mission you're looking at with your, disposition, and how do you take it from there? So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the first one, the mirror match, battlefield dominance. And Phil's going to pull that up, and he's going to take it away.
All right, guys. So you're mirrored. It's Take and Hold versus Take and Hold. You're playing battlefield dominance. This has a 2-part scoring condition. The first is only in the first and second battle round. You control more objectives than your opponent, and that happens on the end of your turn. So you have all the agency here to ensure that you are in a position where you are going to potentially be scoring more than your opponent. But all it's based on, and it's only during the first and second battle round, is I control more than you, and then I get 2 VP, and that's it. From the second battle round onward, you get 3 VP for each objective you control, which includes your home. And then you get 5 VP or 5 VP for each objective you control, excluding your home objective if you control your home objective. That sounds counterintuitive. It sounds very strange. Like reading all of that sounds complicated. The simple way to break it down is if you, for each objective you control, as long as you control your home, you score 5 VP. Or if you don't control your home, it's 3 VP. That sounds like a mission we've done before. That's Linchpin. We know exactly what that is. This has a few intricacies that are a little bit different than Linchpin. First and foremost, you only get the 2 VP for controlling objectives during the first and second battle round. But there is a turn where it layers. On turn 2, not only can you get 2 VP for every objective you control, you can also get either 3 VP for every objective you control, or 5 VP as long as you control your home. Great. There is one more intricacy here that's incredibly important, and we're seeing it across the board for pretty much every 11th edition primary disposition, which is you score this either end of your command phase, we already knew that, or at the end of your turn in the 5th battle round, which means each player scores at the end of their turn, which is incredibly huge.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that they made a change going into 11th that really helps kind of balance that I go first or go second kind of discrepancy that there was. It might even have shifted it in the other direction more so, of now first is kind of better. You can go take some space, you can stage, a little bit more than your opponent can, and things like that. But now you're also not punished with not being able to score at the end of your 5th turn. You're doing that same as your opponent. So there's not really that discrepancy in, oh, well, they just walked onto objectives bottom of 5. You just get to walk onto objectives top of 5 and still try to really max your primary. And that's going to make it to where scoring is a lot easier to come by. And I think this is one of the things, as we're gonna see probably a trend here, is there's certain armies that are gonna play this better, and there's definitely very specific things just looking at this that we're probably gonna find use for later. But it does say, right, in the first 2 rounds, you score 2 VP for holding more than your opponent. Like, that's not a ton, but it's still worth having extra units, right? In general, it's going to be 5 objectives on the board. Maybe there's 6, but you're going to just literally have to plan every game of, well, this is my 60-point unit. This is, my character. Something is going to go walk on the middle, right? You are just leaving points on the board if you're not planning to just take those couple extra. And with how close a lot of these missions seem like they've played out when we're looking at it, you're probably going to want to try to get that as often as you can in your games. So just planning to have that extra unit is definitely going to help. And the other thing, now it doesn't matter if you're first or second, you need material at the end of the game. If you are not ensuring that you can walk onto 2 midfield objectives at the end of turn 5, like that's a big deal, right? Like, or hopefully, right, save something fast for the end of the game that can, maybe you're playing my guard, right? And I have the reinforcement strat. You can bet your ass every game I'm going to be looking for a rapid ingress on the bottom of, like, we'll say I'm top of 5. At bottom of turn 4, I'm going to rapid ingress those extra 10 guardsmen to run onto their natural, because I should still have stuff to go onto the middle and my own, right? Like, this is starting to get a little deep, I admit, but like, this is one of the things we really have to look for is you need a couple of cheap things early and you need material late.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking for expendable trading pieces. And there are certain armies that really do that well. So what we want to give y'all is like a good idea. We can name 20 armies, but what we really want to give you is like, hey, these are the tools that you need in your army if this is a mission that you want to do. If you want to do take and hold, Lane's right. You need 5 to 6 trading pieces minimum that you are perfectly okay throwing away. Because as we talked about, and as you've seen all over the place, 11th edition, incredibly lethal. There is nowhere to hide. Towering is a real thing. People are going to touch terrain and they're going to be able to shoot whatever it is you want. So, Lane talked about it and I talked about it in 10th edition is like, hey, you got to be willing for your units to die. The same thing applies here. It's just going to be more extreme because you have told your opponent exactly what your game plan is. And thankfully, battlefield dominance, your opponent, this is a mirror, is trying to do the exact same thing. So you have to be able to play the mission. So stuff like reanimation or wounds coming back or models coming back, that's going to be incredibly important for battlefield dominance, right? Because if I can flip one so I can control it at the end of my command phase, that's fantastic. Rapid ingress, you gotta have it. Up down, like I would almost say up down, I have to have in this as well, because if I can't play the game turns 4 and 5 in terms of threatening my opponent's home or threatening objectives, and I can just get like hemmed in and screened out, that's going to be tougher. Now, I will say, from everything I've heard in the games that I've played so far, it is going to be much harder to screen. That you can't string out units anymore. You're spending more units on screening, so you might have to give up some backfield space. So armies that do have consistent deep strike capabilities that can go out on those objectives are absolutely fantastic. So if you want to play battlefield dominance and if you want to do take and hold, like the mastercrafted way is you got to have 6 trading pieces minimum, bar none. Like if you have any less than that, you're probably going to struggle in this mission because this is not necessarily what you want to do.
Yeah, I think the other play style that I think will really be able to do this is high pressure horde armies. Things that you can just green tide, for example, right? If you can just go into the wall, tie your opponent up, and just keep 40 boys packed around that middle point to where they're chewing through it and you're still able to hold it turns 2, 3, and even maybe 4, right? Like you're going to have put up enough of a lead, especially because, you're still going to be denying their natural, hopefully, for at least 2 of those turns, right? And you're just going to be trying to really, really rack up points. To no surprise, take and hold does literally just mean take and hold. You need to be sticky on those objectives, have ways to just get back onto them in your opponent's turn, right? The new heroic, which is the like Leonin aggression equivalent, right? If people get too close, those are going to be super handy. Rapid ingresses when they're not ready for it to put extra OC on those points. All great tools that you can be using. But yeah, like jail armies are another great example of things that can really just rack up points if they send it turn 2, because there's not maybe you're just going that fast and you're not going to get a ton of points out of turn 1 if you're top of turn 1, but if you just send it, maybe you keep them jailed. But yeah, I think we're going to see the trend of the same things really, really wanting to play take and hold.
Yeah, lots of trading pieces, horde aggression armies, Black Templar Crusader spam, orcs. I think Nids could do this very, very well. Like I have a game later into Matt Evans I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a world where he would be very happy with taking hold, where he just has to go out and sit on objectives. So that's going to be really interesting. But yes, I think we gave you the basics. We don't want to dig in too much because unfortunately, like there's so many variables that we could take this down. But right off the bat, battlefield dominance seems pretty solid. Let's move on to the next. This is determined acquisition. So this is if our opponent takes disruption and we are on taken hold. Determined acquisition is the mission we are playing. And Lane, why don't you just run us through what is this one all about?
Yeah, so this one, it is very similar to the first, except any battle round, you get 2 VP if you control an objective that you did not control at the start of your turn, excluding your home. If somebody steals your home and you take it back, right, it's just gone, right? So this one at least has a 2 VP option. It's basically mini storm hostile is the way to look
Mm,
at it, right?
yeah.
It's not 4 points, it's not a secondary, it's just built in. Right. This is gonna change it up a little bit, and we'll get into that in a second. And then from the second battle round onwards, end of your command phase, or again, right, end of your turn if it is the 5th battle round, for each objective you control. No caveat here for your home or not. It will count, but it is only 3 VP for each one. And then for each objective you control that is within your opponent's territory. So if you hold their natural or their home, that's 6 VP. So this is very much like you are really getting to their side of the board in the late game. Very, very good. Or, even if you can maybe do it in the early game, just like we talked about, right? That those same armies where you're just running to jail people, now you're going to be really, really racking up those points if you're still out of seeing them turn 2, right? They might push you back to the mid board, but if you get maybe 2 turns where you somehow held on to their natural, that's a lot of extra points in this mission.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Feels like a harder one, but the points do reflect it, right? So we do have access to pretty much 5 VP for each objective you control, or controlling an objective, like taking an objective over. So technically, like I could get 6, 8 VP relatively pretty much guaranteed, right? Like I know you're going to be out of objective, and I'm already planning to flip one. I'm going to try to flip your natural, or I'm going to try to flip the middle that you're trying to take or do something with. Like, so I know I can score 8 pretty convincingly because I do control, I would score for my home. So this one it feels like a trap. It feels for me like it's like, oh, that seems a little tougher. You have to be more aggressive with this type of a mission, which makes sense just based on the names into someone like disruption. Like we're trying to stop them from doing what it is they're doing. So I really like this mission. I think this fits a few armies like right off the bat. One, my Gene Stealer cult with like Biosanctic. If I was able to take like all my pure strains and all my advance in charge or my final day, like they're licking their chops because I will happily throw them on objectives to kill things, to flip them, and I don't care necessarily if they die in return. And you're seeing a trend here, right? We're seeing a certain play style in taking hold altogether. It's like I need to be able to flip. I need to be flipping objectives every turn, whether it be your home, whether it be your natural, whether it be the middle. I have to have assets turn 1 through turn 5 because I can score all the way through. I have to be able to get on those. I have to physically get on those objectives. It's not. It can't just be a gun line. A gun line will not be effective here because if I don't have the piece that goes out there and gets on it, it's gonna be tougher.
Yeah, there is a little sauce in here that I want to take just a minute to highlight because I do think there is a crazy, crazy little pocket of armies who have either A, battle shocks or very good OC manipulation with specific timings. Let's say I'm playing my guard and you just happen to have put just enough to out OC me on your natural on the middle. It doesn't really matter. It does a little bit versus how many points I'm going to get. But technically, when we start the turn, they are not ordered. If I up their OC in the command phase, by the end of the command phase, I will actually hold that objective, but it will not count as one that I held at the start of the turn. So I can double dip on that. The same will go for armies that have a battle shock in the command phase, right? Because if you didn't control it, technically, and then you battle shock something in the command phase, you will then hold it at the end of yours, and then you also hold it at the end of your command phase, and then you'll hold it again at the end of your turn, potentially, which will mean you will also score the 2 VP. Now, armies potentially, again, like Tyranids that you could be playing, have some different ways, to maybe
Yeah.
make you take some battle shocks. I think Plague Legion, armies like that, there's shenanigans you can pull.
ESM, Nightmare Hunt.
Yeah, like to where you can force battle shocks in that phase specifically, or alter OC. That can mean you can double dip with this. Now, I don't think that's worth building an entire game plan around potentially, but if you have the option, it's worth maybe salt and peppering in there if it's not, outside of the realm of your general game plan across all 5 missions.
Yeah. We were talking about it, Lane and I were talking about it the other day, is Battle Shock does mean something more now, right? And it can be more impactful in the game. I still don't believe it's going to be the one thing that's going to like dominate the meta or be like incredibly shifting to how you play the game, but like you just got to be prepared for it now. Like you have to be more cognizant. Battle Shock used to be that dumb thing that like occasionally came up. Now you actually have to be prepared for it. And if you have a couple consistent tools, like let's say Death Guard PBCs, like those are great because they hit you, force you to take a battle shock. Nightmare Hunt, Chaos Knights, right? There are some armies, demons obviously as well. There's some armies that just force battle shocks all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to play a much bigger part. Same with things that help you, not be battle shocked. Gilliman might actually have his leadership rerolls ability finally used, right? Like
He may.
if you're he may, you never know. Double Oath is still pretty fucking strong, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, let's keep it moving. We'll talk about the next one.
Great. So the next one we have is a movable object. This is if our opponent is taking Purge the Foe, and we obviously are still on taking hold. So this is, hey, they're trying to kill us, and then we are doing a movable object. So let's take a look at that. What this one is. So at any battle round, you control one or more central objectives. Okay. Second to fourth battle round, for each objective you control, you get 5 VP, and that happens at the end of your command phase. And that is not that. That says excluding your home objectives, so it's going to be your natural, and then any other no man's land's objectives. That is significant. And then the last one is end of your turn, which is significant, as we talked about in the beginning, is I will score at the bottom of my 5, whether I go first or second, and then I get for each objective you control, excluding your home, 5 BP. So your home does not matter at all for movable objects.
Yeah. No, not really. It matters that you go protect your natural, and then you protect your natural, and then you try to take the middle, and you try to hold on to that shit, and then you really, really are waiting for the bottom of 5, right? That's the main thing we're doing, because again, the game has shifted a little more, I think, to where having material to score, whether you're top or whether you're bottom, to go stand on 3 objectives generally is just gonna be something you need to be able to do. You need to plan around having that material into the late game, right? These fast burning armies are not gonna play these missions well unless you have absolutely just destroyed your opponent. But at that point, I mean, that you can, but that you're not really playing around your mission, and that's more of just, did I kill you or did I not? Which, I mean, that's every Warhammer game technically, but like we wouldn't recommend that as like a that's my plan to start with.
Yeah, if we talk about wanting to get better and win more games more consistently, putting your game on a coin flip, especially some armies, like yes, is screening different now? Yes. Is it incredibly difficult? Absolutely. It is so much harder to actually screen people out because of fly, because of mobile, because of like the new pass through mechanic for engagement range doesn't really matter as long as I finish like around you, right? There's so many ways for people to get through screens. We just got to be a little bit more careful with it. So yeah, this is an interesting one as well. This one feels tough.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're going to be scoring a ton of points. It's going to be really tough because a lot of the things, yeah, I mean, we'll see what all detachments and things come with, Purge the Foe, but you have to assume that people who play Killy armies will likely play Purge the Foe if given the choice. So it's hard to think, oh yeah, well, obviously I can just put stuff in the middle and it will survive to a certain extent, right? If you're going to run into this, like you need to have kind of a game plan of how you're going to get yourself those extra points, how you're going to have maybe kind of a go turn where you are able to screen out far enough ahead of your high OC to maybe hold that midpoint. Things like that, and like we said, it's going to take very specific positioning and true understanding of how screening has to work now and stuff to make that possible. But it is possible. It's just gonna take some work because this is not a high scorer if you aren't holding more objectives in the middle. And maybe this is going to be one that it has, 4 in the middle on one of the maps, and you're going to just be praying you pull that one, because hopefully you can hidden supplies it and have 2 on your side and 2 on their side, and hopefully hold on to 2. But yeah, that's going to drastically change how this mission plays. I haven't had a chance to look at the map packs yet, but yeah, not a high scorer on this one, at a base level.
Definitely going to be tougher to score. It's going to favor those mid-board brawling armies. Lane said it once already, and I think it still stands true, is like orcs could be very solid here. World Eaters, right? Like any of those fast aggro armies that actually have a chance, that have Blood Surge, that have reactive moves, that have ways to get on objectives, whether it be Necron Warriors regenning, or like, I keep harkening back, but like Gene Stealers, Astra Militarum, anything that can go back onto these objectives in unique ways that isn't just a rapid ingress can be incredibly solid. But now with 8-inch deep strike denial, it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder.
Yeah. All right. Up next, moving on to the priority assets opponent, we have Inescapable Dominion. Any battle round, if you control 3 or more objectives, you score 4 VP. Right. So this is basically Storm Hostile. Is what this is. You need to go control 2 in the middle and your home. Like that's you need to make sure you're at least always fighting over the center on this mission, and then second battle round onwards, end of your command phase or end of your turn in the 5th, which is the new usual. You control 2 or more objectives, you get 5 VP, and then you control more objectives than your opponent, you get 4 VP. This is another one of those times where having things to either flip or especially battle shock, right? Having things where you can point in battle shock in the command phase can earn you the extra 4 VP in your command phase on that turn. In general, I like the 4 VP, right? This is a very layered version of a mission where you get to go out, you do the thing, right? You deny or you hold some stuff, and you're going to get 4 pretty easily. Control 2 or more objectives. Hold your home, hold your natural. You get the 5, and then if you can, a couple of those turns, right? This is a pretty solid 13 on a primary every couple, and a 9 is kind of your base level. That's a pretty solid primary mission. And then at the end of the battle, if you control the enemy home objective, you get an extra 5 VP. Something to hope for, something to try for. That one I think is a little harder to just automatically plan into your game plan. Maybe for armies that are a little bit more attrition based, right? You're going to go brawl it out throughout the game and really, bring your opponent's numbers down, and then have some uppy down or reinforcements or something to come into the late game and maybe try to tack on that extra 5. You can work into your game plan. But in general, right, 9 a turn, generally pretty solid, up to 13. I don't hate that. I think this is basically as like if this you're just doing the thing as a take and hold army, like that's what this one is.
I like this one because it's easy. I like this one because this is like, I actually don't even have to think about it. It's just like control 2 or control 3 objectives, which I should do with my home and my natural, and then putting something on the middle. Great. I've controlled 3. That happens at the end of my turn. I have complete agency over that. And then it's like, okay, my opponent, I control 2 objectives, right? Or I control 3 objectives right now. How are you going to play into this? One of them, like the one on my natural, is probably going to be 12-inch low knob, genuinely, right? Because I have access to go to ground now. I guarantee you that the majority of armies that are going to play something like this are going to have access to a 12-inch low knob. Are we still going to call it low knob? I'm still probably going to call it low knob. I don't know if I can call it. The detection range of this is 12 inches or 15 inches.
It's going to be the same thing. Like everybody's still probably going to call it, Overwatch, even though it's not that anymore. Like it's just colloquially called that. I mean, we have uppy down, and that's not even an actual term anywhere. So I think it's just one of those things that the community is probably just gonna just keep going with the comfortable lingo that we already have.
Yeah, but this is just easy. It's an easy secondary that you should be scoring 9 no matter what, and it's up to your opponent if they let you score 13 or not, or if they can, right? Because the overarching theme of Take and Hold is you need a way to flip the objective in a unique way that isn't just like I walk 5 idiots onto an objective, because that's not always going to work. So, once again, will Battle Shock help us in this? Absolutely, right? Will regeneration help us with this? Yes. Will OC manipulation help us with this? Yes, absolutely. So if you're like, well, what kind of armies should Take and Hold? If you don't have those 3 tools, I would say that there's probably a disposition that's going to suit your army better than a thing like Taken Hold. Would you agree, Lane?
Yeah, I think that's fair for sure.
All right, the last one.
Yeah. Purge and secure. This is our turn to kill. Okay, we're going against reconnaissance, and we need to kill stuff. All right. If you were asking yourself, should I put a parking lot in my backfield? The answer is maybe. Right? Maybe you should take a bunch of indirect, because then you just guarantee 3 points. Just kidding. Like, this is not an actual reason to do that strat. Though it's nice that, like, you could do that. Honestly, any battle round by the end of your turn, you either need to have killed one of their things that was on an objective to start the turn, or kill something of theirs with a unit of yours that you had that is within range of an objective marker. Sorry, and it does seem like you don't start on the objective and then get to go somewhere and kill something. You have to be on it actively when you kill it. So that is interesting. And then the second battle round onwards, end of your command phase or end of your turn if it's the fifth. For each objective you control, excluding your home, for BP. And then also second battle round onward, you control one or more objectives that you did not control at the start of your turn, excluding your home. So this is very similar to the last one with some extra terms and conditions. And it's also, we're doing the Killy stuff instead of hoping to get 5 VP for holding your opponent's home, right? Like, again, this is very straightforward 40k here, in my opinion. And again, this is something that's going to favor, fast things that can either kill you an objective, or they can just stand on one. Monka Tau, I just ran something up into the middle of the board and shot the shit out of something. 3 free VP turn 1,
Yeah.
or every turn realistically. But yeah, so it's gonna be pretty easy to hold that, and then it's gonna be a little bit lower scoring on the primary side of things when it comes to, like, just holding one. But thankfully, again, we see another version of the storm hostile objective, right? So go take one away from your opponent, and you get another 3. So that's in general kind of like a baseline of 10, which is pretty solid, right? You kill something while you're on one or they're on one. You hold one on your natural, and then you take one in the middle. Right, you do
Yep.
those things, you get 10 VP in at least battle rounds 2 through 5.
Yep. And that feels relatively easy. And to the majority of armies, like, you should be able to kill one thing for 2 or 3 turns, pretty guaranteed. And then if not, like, you're probably just controlling the board at that point because they're not poking anything out and they're not getting on objectives. So, like, you're right. This feels very straightforward. This is the only kill secondary or kill disposition for Taken Hold in terms of rewarding points for killing your opponent's unit, because obviously the theme of this is, like, map control, not necessarily anything else.
Yeah. And if we do some quick math here, right? If you're able to get the kill turn 1, and then at minimum you get 1 kill, you hold your natural, and then you go hold the center, you are going to score 43 points. How many primary can you cap out, Phil?
50.
No, it's 45 now. It got lowered.
It's 45.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you are 2 away from max, and that is assuming you also weren't able to just actually walk on and hold the middle by the end of your own 5th battle round, which means you could score 47 max primary on this without really trying that hard.
Yeah,
So,
you're not even breaking a sweat at that point.
like, this is maybe the easiest score mission. We'll see, right? The recon part might make it hard. You have to play around their bullshit. But as a baseline, right, of, like, we're just playing our game. This is about as, I don't know about straightforward as it gets, but this is pretty standard 40k, and you're just rewarded for doing the thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, Taken Hold seems like a very straightforward mission. And honestly, we didn't see any actions, right? There was not a single action across the board. We only saw one kill requirement that would force us to get points, but everything else is solely based on getting objectives or taking objectives. So if you're list planning, those are the things you need to be able to do every single round. Because Lane just talked you through for the last one how easy it was to get to 43 points without really breaking a sweat. If the cap is 45, that means a lot of times we're going to see max scoring games. We're going to see games in the 90, 95s, 100s. And if you're not capable of scoring that, like, you're probably going to get left behind. You're going to lose games and you're going to score 90 points and you're going to be like, what happened? Whenever I score 90 points, that usually means a game win. In this scenario, it is not nearly as guaranteed. You have to be consistently hitting that 90 plus.
Yeah. or forcing, and that's going to be probably one of the things we dive into, after we kind of go over these baseline series and kind of get everybody prepped, is going to be the ways we kind of look at these missions in depth of, how do you find yourself in advantageous positions? What are some ways that you can, make some plays that really actually give you hopefully a more certain chance of victory by forcing your opponent to deal with you in certain spots that are annoying and things like that. And that's going to be very mission versus mission specific, right? As we look at the reverse sides of each card and we look at each layout, right? That's going to be the things that we're really looking to try to find and share with y'all on how to actually give yourself that material advantage, that score advantage, and extra board positioning, all those things as we look at those, in depth. And we're really looking forward to getting into that nitty gritty. But first, we got to take a step back, right? Look at these cards and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Let's focus on doing that first, right? Let's
Yes.
build our lists with that in mind.
All right, so we're going to have 4 more videos on top of this to go through the rest of the missions as we eagerly await the rest of the information that Games Workshop owed us. Lane, any final thoughts for Forced Dispositions and the upcoming 11th edition?
Oh, man, I'm excited to play some games, right? Like we've been able to talk a lot about this stuff. I've just been swamped doing other things. I haven't really played too much 40k because we're all just waiting for 11th to drop, and it's finally here. We can taste it. So ready to get some models on the board and ready to just see what the detachments are that give us these dispositions, so I can build some lists. Right. That's why we want to do this now. Right. We don't actually know what everything's going to have with it, so we want to give you good general information for when you are ready. Hopefully that'll be soon. Maybe by the time this video even drops. Who knows, Phil?
I hope so. I really hope so. So hopefully you guys learned something. Let us know in the comments below if you liked this kind of content, if you're excited for whatever disposition your army is going to potentially have or you want access to. And tune in, because not only are we going to go over the dispositions, we're going to go over the layouts, we're going to go over the matchups, we're going to go over teams, as that is going to be a completely different thing. And we've gotten some inkling of what that's going to look like, which will be very, very interesting in terms of how teams matrices are going to work, and layouts and all that stuff. So more content to come.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have not liked, subscribed, and commented, please do so. Join us in the Discord if you haven't already. And last but not least, do not forget that victory isn't given, it is forged, and it's forged right here on Mastercrafted. We will see you all next time.
See ya.